Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Kauffman Museum Kansas Day. It's really great to have you here, and you're in for a special treat. And on our list today is Erin Raux. Did I get the last? I celebrate when I do things correctly.
I celebrate when someone pronounces my name
Oh,
correctly.
that's
So
awesome.
that's awesome. Thank you, Bill.
Absolutely. She's the curator of the Mid-America All-Indian Museum. She's been that for 4 years. Wichita, Kansas, born and raised. Took a little bit of time out to study at the University of Oklahoma. We don't hold that against her because she's now back in Kansas at Wichita at this magnificent museum. What you really need to know about her is that she has a little child, 9 months old, by the name of Drew. Please give a warm Kauffman welcome to Erin.
Okay, I'm short. Hi everyone, happy Kansas Day. How is everyone? Good, okay. So I'm pretty informal. We'll do questions afterwards if you're interested and have any of those. I'm gonna start out by talking a little bit about Blackbear Bosin. And here, this first slide, we have Bring the Bisons crossed out. A lot of people don't know how to say Blackbear Bosin's name, and that's okay. I'm here to help. Blackbear Bosin, also known as Sate Kongia, and that is Kiowa for black bear. So Blackbear was of the Kiowa and Comanche tribes. His mother was Comanche, his father was Kiowa. And there's a little clip of a video that I will show at the end of this PowerPoint. It will say much more about Blackbear. So we can go forward from here. So while Blackbear was not a Kansan, he was actually born in Oklahoma in a teepee outside of Cement, Oklahoma. He did move to Wichita when he realized that his hometown wasn't really going to provide him the opportunities that he needed. So he moved to Wichita. He worked in the aircraft industry. He left behind in Oklahoma his parents, his siblings, a wife, and children. So I imagine that it wasn't a very easy decision to move to Wichita. He met and ended up marrying Nola, pictured here, on Thanksgiving weekend in 1953. So her parents were of the mindset that you could be friends with people of color, but you couldn't marry them. So she ended up marrying Bosin after her parents passed away. Mm-hmm. So I found that information quite interesting, actually. So it says there that he would have turned 100 last year of June. June 5th was his actual birthday. And this came about, we were just looking at things that were all things Bosin, and my executive director and I thought, oh my gosh, if we do the math, he would have been 100 years old. So he was one of the founders of our museum, and we really wanted to turn the museum over to him and celebrate him as an artist and as a man, and kind of tell a story about him as a person as well. A lot of people, does anyone in the crowd, are you familiar with the Keeper of the Plains sculpture? Okay, great. If you aren't, please go visit it, and visit it at night if you can to see those fire pots lit, bringing all of the elements together. So the Indian Museum, it used to be a resource center for Native peoples. The museum was there the whole time. That was Bosin's baby. And then Jay Hunter was part of the resources part of the Indian Center. Resources split away in the 80s, and the museum remained. So we're trying desperately to help everyone understand that we are strictly a museum now, and honoring Bosin's legacy there. So after his death in 1980, a lot of board members and important people within the museum decided that they wanted to start the Bosin Resource Center. an appreciation of him and his artwork, it didn't come to fruition. So they came across a lot of obstacles, and it just didn't end up happening. So we came across this piece, Torches of the Soul Seeker, that Bosin did in a book, and it's beautiful. And it turns out this group of people tried to obtain this piece to start this collection of his work, and they couldn't get it. So it was considered one of his most finest pieces. You'll see in that documentary clip later that Bosin was afflicted with a heart condition which affected his eyesight, making it difficult for him to see. So many of the pieces that you see in this documentary and in some of the books and brochures that we have, he did with minimal eyesight, which is always so amazing to me because I can't do what he did with both of my eyes. So, like I said, they were unlucky in that they couldn't finish that project. So these books, this book here is on sale in the gift shop here. And if you're interested, it's a wonderful coffee table book. It's got great images of some of his finest pieces. So in 2012, my executive director and the staff at the time donated or loaned notebooks and boxes of all things Bosin that Dr. Simmons actually, I'm sure everyone's familiar with Dr. Simmons here, that is Blackbear's stepson. So he gave the museum a lot of his things. In turn, we traded it over and ended up making a book with Simmons. In 2013, we commissioned the film that I'm about to show you part of. Doug Robertson and Ted Davis created the film. Things kind of come about in some of the craziest ways. So long before I got to the museum, my executive director was in the vault, rummaging around trying to find something, no one knows what. She came across a box of photographs, and they were of a little boy. And the more she looked, the more she dug through these photographs, she realized that they were of Bosin. So a lot of his childhood photos were in our vault at our museum. They were turned over for this book and for this documentary as well. So you'll see some really cute photos of Bosin here in a little bit. If you've been to our museum, you will remember the giant mural called From Whence All Life. It's absolutely beautiful. It weighs 1 ton. It was made originally for CoBank, which is kind of catty-corner to our museum. It was brought over to us in 2015 on a semi, and about 12 people carried it in to our museum. So it is all one canvas, one piece of canvas. It is separate pieces of wood behind it. But it all stayed together for that transport, and it now sits in our museum. And as long as I'm there, it's not going anywhere. So the centerpiece, I think you can see the people that are in the portrait there. Behind it, the warm colors radiating out from them, that is a depiction of Mother Earth. And to the right of that, which you can't see, is a depiction of the Plains people and the giver of life. And then to the left there, you can see, I always ask the kids on tours what they think those are. And they always tell me robots or something. I love their answers. Bosin was actually, so he was Kiowa and Comanche, but he was influenced by so many other tribes. And these creatures, for lack of a better word, are from the Southwest tribes, Hopi, Zuni. Like I said, he was influenced by those other tribes. There's over 573 federally recognized tribes. So that list is huge. That's just recognized by the federal government. There's even more. So he was influenced by those different customs and different ideas of how life came about. So in 2018, I was invited along with our executive director to a collector's home to view some of the work that was going to be donated eventually to our museum. So I had the honor of going into this gentleman's home and looking at all these beautiful things that he intended to donate. He did not intend to donate this piece here, I found out. But when I got a closer look, I realized that it was a Bosin original. Not only that, but it was the piece that the original members of the resource group wanted to purchase. So it, we kind of got goosebumps. It was that type of a situation. Like, we found it. This piece is here, and I don't know if the collector had that intention of surprising us. However, it certainly surprised us. So we put on our happy faces and asked him what his plans were for this piece. And he did not want to part with it. So we left a little sullen, feeling a little sorry for ourselves that day. But we did get to see it, and the detail in this piece is phenomenal. This photo does not do it justice. Please come to the museum and say hello to me, and then go directly to this piece, because the line work in it is just, he was a draftsman. So when he worked at Boeing, specifically is where he was at, he did draftsman work for them, and you can tell that he was just really good at that. Such a steady hand. So in 2019, we launched this campaign to bring the Bosons home. And that just means that people have original Bosin works, and we would like to be that, again, original repository for his work. We understand that a lot of people are aging and that their children don't want the pieces that they have. So we would like to take care of those pieces and kind of bring them home. Since we've started this endeavor, we've gained about 24, 25 pieces, which is phenomenal, that people trust us and want to give us their prized possessions. So there are over 70 pieces in our collection that are Bosin originals. And right now we're working on conserving them and making sure that the material that's used to frame them and mat them are archival. So we're working with Reuben Saunders Gallery specifically to do that. And it's going really well so far. It's wonderful what a new frame and mat can do for a piece. It really brightens it up. This is an interesting little story. So along with the keeper, you'll find out more about the keeper in the documentary, but it was built or commissioned rather in 1974. And when the people that made this keeper of the plains, they also made 3 other 11-foot guys. We call them the little guys. And I think it was 2018, we were alerted that there was one of these little guys in, I think it was the home of Charles Sanderson. He was a local artist in Wichita. So it was in his backyard. It was given to him by Blackbear Bosin himself. They were friends. It didn't have a base. So he laid on his side in the back of Charles Sanderson's backyard for years. And it eventually, I love this part, turned into a honeybee home. So whoever came and got that piece out of Charles's backyard had a fun time, I'm sure of it. So eventually in 2018, the museum got it, put it on the stone base that it's on now, and placed him in our kiva, and he's facing the opposite direction of the original keeper, which you can see in the backyard through the kiva. So pretty cool experience to go see that. The other 2 little guys, one is in France and one is in China, in our sister cities. So that's pretty cool. So this is a picture. Jerry Martin would kill me if I showed you guys this picture, but Jerry Martin is the gentleman that asked us to come to his home and look at the pieces that he wanted to donate, and that we begged and pleaded for torches of the Soul Seeker. And he kept saying, no, 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 no. Until one day, he had a change of heart, and I don't know what happened, but he decided to help us launch this campaign, and he gave us the piece. So many tears and joyful laughter later, we started off this Bosin campaign, Bring the Bosons Home campaign, with fireworks. We got the piece that originally they wanted to get. We were really proud of ourselves. Like I said, we were all sad in the beginning, but it really worked out for the best. That picture to the right is a photo of what is called Buffalo Hunt. It was the second piece that we got of his original work. Absolutely beautiful as well, the line work, the detail. Some people, I love this story about this piece, some people think that it's unfinished. And there's a big debate that goes on where we got an unfinished piece. Well, Bosin worked on artwork every day for hours at a time and made so many different things. So it could be unfinished, but my personal belief, and I have no way of knowing, is that those people that are covered in the coyote skin, if you can see that clearly, are done in such a light way to signify they're camouflaged. I think the piece is finished. There's also an elusive buffalo in that photo. So I told you guys about starting the Bosin Society. We've created an upper level membership for that. If you're interested in that, there's information on the table. And if anyone has any Blackbear Bosin pieces they want to donate to us, would be forever grateful. So if you become a Bosin Society member, then you get invited to these small private dinners that we've been having, where we've been trying to raise money. We've raised so far over $50,000, and we've got the 24 pieces that have been donated, and we've got about 21 founding members. We'll continue to do this throughout 2022, and we plan to keep this exhibit up that's up right now. I encourage everyone to come see me and come see it. We turned over the entirety of the museum to all things Bosin. So those 70 pieces are up for you to see for a limited time. It will come down later in June. So we're celebrating his 101st birthday. We're going to do a social dance and a big powwow, and everybody's invited. So keep an eye out on social media for us and the things that we're planning. That's it for my PowerPoint. Thanks for listening to me talk. I will exit out of here and I will let you guys watch this film that we commissioned. Nope. Sorry about that, guys.
I suppose I am a little bitter, but in my paintings there is no room for bitterness.
Thank you.
In fact, in my paintings there is absolutely no recognition, none of our defeat. I am describing America as if 1492 simply had never happened. Blackbear Bosin.
I hear that in the museum.
Blackbear Bosin was born Francis Blackbear Bosin, June 5, 1921, on a farmstead outside Cement, Oklahoma. The oldest son of Frank Bosin, a Kiowa, and Ada Tibbs Bosin, a Comanche. His mother's mother was a medicine woman in the Comanche tribe, born in a teepee. He was named after a grandfather who was a sub-chief of the Kiowa tribe.
What is the earliest memory you can recollect? Times, moments that remain indelible on my mind. So many times I spent with my grandparents. It was a grandparent's prerogative to, this is among the Comanches now, to take the firstborn, who was a male child, and it had something to do with his earliest formative years. I was the one that was selected to live with my grandparents. They, from the time I was, shortly after I was weaned, walking to the time right before I went to school, and the schooling, of course, interrupted this wonderful pastime or a wonderful moment in my life, and never to ever be regained again. My first exposure to Indian art went along with my academic training, which was the primary grades, and I was fortunate enough to be exposed to the works of Hokkia and Desai, Mofo, Satok, and they had gone to the same school that I had, St. Patrick's Mission. I had a chance to see a lot of their works. I suppose every one of us wants to be recognized for something. And I felt very dejected, very left out because of this particular sister. Her name was Sister Monrada. And I was always vying for that particular sister's favors or to recognize my art. She never did. I guess I really have that one particular nun to thank for where I am today.
When the Indians was trying to be assimilated into the non-Indian world, the white man world, the first thing that they wanted to do was eliminate the culture. That's the first thing they did, because they needed to get rid of that Indianism. It was dangerous to the country to have all these Indians out there who still retain the old history, the old customs.
When he was at St. Patrick's, he was faced with a situation that obviously he couldn't have foreseen, but the mission of the school at the time was to rid the Indian children of their Indian background, the burden of their cultural heritage, according to the federal government that had set up the school. They wanted to assist and prepare the children to enter the white civilization and not be burdened by this tremendous negative impact from their ancestral culture.
Like all classrooms, we were given our Crayolas, etc. I had a big proclivity for eating my pencils because I seemed well lit. The graphite had great taste. I'm sure I ate some charcoal too. I ate some Crayolas also. Rainbow teeth. I was isolated into the dorm during the day, of course, and at night, of course, everybody else slept in the same huge dorm that I was allowed to contaminate. During the day, I found these some National Geographics. It was there that I started reading these National Geographics. I used to peddle my paintings from door to door in Anadarko. It'd be chopping cotton, picking cotton. And I kind of look back on those days with a kind of a nostalgic horror, if one can put those two words together. It was really a trying time. I left that part of the country, Indian country as I call it, for several reasons. One, that I had the foresight enough to realize that there was nothing available there. So I took advantage of a situation that was offered by the government and came here. There was more lean years, never ever abandoning the painting aspect because I wanted to be a painter. Ultimately, the war started. Went in service. One of the officers there in this hospital, which I ended up in finally, became quite interested in what I was doing. Gave me tools to work with. With no effort for any academic projection. Let me do as I please, and that was where I had my first one-man show, was in Hawaii. It was quite an exciting time. I had about 20, 25 pieces, every one of them priced at $35 a piece. I think I had a complete sellout. It was just terribly great. I was really excited by the whole thing. So it just gave me more impetus to do more painting. First I started out with poster colors, ultimately ending up in using pretty good creative watercolor gouache. I think because this closely emulates the truly traditional art expression of the Plains Indians, the things they did on teepee walls. One of the most remarkable paintings that I think that ever happened to me personally was a painting that's in the Philbrook Art Center called Prairie Fire, which was published in the National Geographic magazine and became known worldwide.
So he did a lot of research before he would even start painting. He had all of the material, all the items right here. It's all here. And he also here. So between here, your eyes, heart, would come out at the end of his fingers.
I became extremely interested in the way that songs could be visualized in color and mood. And this had to do with a figure or an Indian imploring the spirits to bring rain. There are certain times in just about every painting that I seem to lose control of what I'm doing. I seem to be painting intuitively. Somebody else is doing the work because I can stand back from a completed piece and wonder how I did this.
Felt like he was an instrument of the spiritual world. In his painting, he wanted to convey that connection with the world of the past and the world of the future as well. And he liked to illustrate that feeling in a sense, like in the Torches of the Soul Seekers, where the aurora borealis was actually a physical reminder of the presence of the spirit of the world that had gone before and all of the past ancestors, which in his cultural world was the source of their being. Blackbear's proudest work was the Keeper of the Plain sculpture.
Like I've stated many times, Blackbear loved Wichita. Wichita loved Indians. Wichita loved Blackbear Bosin.
He was a very charming and charismatic person. And at the end, especially if there were some children involved, he would bend over to the children and say, "Now, you can't tell him you've met a real Indian." I thought that was always so charming and funny. And the kids just were big-eyed and just getting ready to go back to show and tell, basically, and said, "I met Blackbear Bosin, a real Indian." By the end of his career, his vision was very, very seriously impaired due to his heart condition. After his heart attack, he had a block that in his eyesight that would prevent him from seeing anything in the middle of any visual field. So his painting and most of his major achievements, actually, in paintings, were created with a very, very impaired vision. He was very strongly rooted in his cultural, ancestral heritage, and that's where he drew his strength from. And I think that's why his art is so powerful, because that was his source of inspiration.
I would like to see Indian art recognized as a true art form, indigenous to this country, which it really is. It is not a curio, it's not an expression for people who are looking for trite things. These are very meaningful things.
We knew he was very devoted to his mom, but after she passed away, he absolutely could not paint because he was just overwrought with grief. And it was a physical grief that was so intense that he never touched the brush after that.
Bosin portrayed the Indian. Bosin was Indian. And if there is a spirit, his spirit is astride a pony, galloping at full speed, his long gray hair trailing behind him in the wind, seeking an elusive buffalo herd on the Great Plains. He has now returned to the setting of his emotionally charged paintings. There he will remain, always in our midst. Gene Snodgrass King. You can take the best out of each world and put it together and be successful. You didn't have to deal with the bad part. In either world, you were able to put the best out of both worlds, bring them together. Will that make success? I don't know. But this is what happened. So we share that feeling. I miss him. I miss him very much. I have a song to sing to our mother, the earth, to our father, the sun. To sing this song because we are all here. We are all here as one. The one makes us all in the hands of the Great Spirit. Blackbear Bosin.
Thanks for watching that with me. Does anyone have any questions?
Are the fire pots daily at night?
Yes, that's a good question. Oh, he asked about the fire pots near the Keeper of the Plains. It depends on the season. So in the summertime, they're lit at 9 o'clock. And in the winter, they are lit at 7 p.m. Mm-hmm. Yes.
I have tried a few times to see that. I'm hoping to photograph it, and I have never been able to catch them in action.
I'm sorry.
When they're lit, how long do they tend to stay lit?
That's probably your problem. I think they're only lit for like 15 minutes.
Okay. So 7, 9, are those times relatively precise?
Mm-hmm. They are.
Okay.
And you're always welcome, even though we aren't in charge of the Keeper of the Plains and the fire pots, it's actually the city of Wichita. You can always call the museum and ask if it's running on schedule or anything like that. Yeah.
What age was he when he stopped painting?
When he stopped painting,
Yes.
1980 is when he stopped painting because he passed away. So how old would he have been? 21? 59? Yeah. 79.
You correlated that to the death of his mother.
Yes, yes. She passed away only months before him, so he was devastated by that.
Where is the statue at? We go to Wichita a lot. Where is it?
So it's, our museum is on North Seneca Street in Wichita, Kansas, and the Keeper of the Plains sculpture is just in our backyard.
Any other questions? You have the expert right here, so now's the time. Well, if not, a special word of thanks to Erin. It is really great to have you here. Please thank her with me.
Appreciate you all being here. Thank you.
Apparently you have some brochures here, and she'll be around if you have some questions that you would like to ask of her. Yes?
I suspect you are aware of the connection, but our favorite barbecue place is Delano Barbecue.
Yes,
And-
I love that you brought that up. So that was originally Boson's studio, his art studio, and one of his shops. So Delicious Barbecue once was Blackbear Bosin's art studio. Yeah.
Well, thank you for attending. At 3 o'clock, we'll talk a little bit more about William Allen White. It'll be good to have you back.